Fani Willis and Kamala Harris allegedly had a meeting at the White House like a month before the indictment happened. I mean, Donald Trump keeps saying that there's this conspiracy going on to take him down, that this is effectively election interference. I'm telling you, if they can prove this one out, I suspect he's got a few legs to stand on. So Fani Willis apparently went to the White House. Now, the word on the street from the left is, no, they didn't have a meeting. She was just there with some people from Atlanta and they were having a shindig, and they didn't actually get to meet, nor did they speak directly about this case. But then there's another wrinkle, you see, because Fani's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, lover, as Donald Trump likes to call him, Nathan Wade, who was making all kinds of oodles of money. I mean, he'd never seen money like this. But he charged $2,000 when he went to the White House to meet with officials about this case. So someone was meeting with officials at the White House about this case. Now, why would that be? I mean, even if it wasn't Fani, why would Nathan be going and meeting with people at the White House? I mean, I'd like to know. I think it's a fair question. Meanwhile, I do think that Fani's going to be off the case. I mean, there's no way the judge is going to allow this. They're going to dismantle her entire team in short order. And when that happens, it's not like the whole thing will go away. I mean, it should. But no. They'll stay at this. I mean, they're like a dog with a bone, right? So they'll stay at it. But it's going to take them a long time to actually reassemble a team. And by then, hey, November may be here. So what happens then? Are they going to go after a sitting president? Maybe this is all the more reason why you need that immunity thing to kick in, right? I'm blown away by it because the politics of this, it's so raw. It's so extraordinary. The left hates him so much, and they're willing to do whatever they need to do. Anyway, Fani's in trouble. I want you to hear this little exchange. So this is Ashley Merchant. She's the attorney for the guy that has been prosecuted for this racketeering thing. And she's talking there with the other side about just exactly what went down with Fani and Nathan Wade in terms of all those expenses. Because she's out there taking cruises that he's paying for. Of course, he's making all this money now that she got him a gig. And what, she pays him back in cash? That's what she expects everyone to believe? I'm guessing she didn't pay him back, but hey, they're just allegations. Here's Ashley, watch. They're grilling her, by the way, in this.
There was a hotel at the beginning of the Royal Bahamas. I didn't include that. I didn't want to do the math, and I also did not want to.
And how much does Ms. Willis make?
200 and something thousand a year.
So your argument is that a person who makes $200,000 a year is actually setting up prosecutions to go on a trip that costs $3,500. That's your argument.
No, not in isolation. I mean, you're talking about in isolation.
No, I'm not talking about in isolation. I'm talking about what's in briefs. I don't know what else you may be speculating about. I'm just talking about what's in briefs that says this is the benefit that she got. And all I'm saying is that I got a person who's making $200,000, and the benefit that you're putting into the briefs, not what you may say that you may find elsewhere.
That's not all.
But the benefit in the briefs is I go on a trip for $3,300, $4,400. And they have made up all these prosecutions to go on a 3-day cruise for $3,300. I mean, that's your argument. If that's your argument, that's your argument.
That's not.
That's in the brief.
That's not our argument. So we did argue for about 3 hours.
What else is in the brief?
What else is in the brief?
Yes.
A lot of facts, a lot of law.
No. As far as actual financial benefit.
So the financial benefit that I put in the brief was what I could prove. I did not want to have any, as you call it, speculation. I did not want to speculate about anything else. So I did not know if Mr. Wade paid for an Uber that Miss Willis was literally sitting in at the same time. You can kind of Ubers on each of these trips. There was a hotel at the beginning of the Royal Bahamas. I didn't include that. I didn't want to do the math, and I also did.
How much does Miss Willis make?
200 and something thousand a year.
So
it's in my brief.
So, okay, let's just go with it. All right, she makes $200,000 a year. I mean, call it 100. by the time Joe Biden and company and the IRS get done with her, right? So she makes $100,000. $3,500 isn't insignificant, okay? Like, it's not insignificant. And as Ms. Merchant points out, that was just the tip of the iceberg. There were a whole bunch of other things. So I do think that Fani has a problem from an ethical standpoint. The other problem that Fani has is that it may be much worse than you think because of the cover-up. I mean, sometimes it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. I mean, if you're lying under oath and you're encouraging other people to lie under oath, you do realize, like, that is a jailable offense. Like, you cannot lie under oath, and you can't tell other people to lie. And for goodness sakes, the woman's a lawyer. She's an attorney, and she's allegedly doing this. We've got another witness that came forward saying that she overheard a phone call that Fani made to Nathan Wade's business partner, and she told him, hey, they don't need to know anything about us. So she was encouraging this guy to lie. Now, again, allegedly, telling this guy to lie. Now, if that's the case, then how does she keep her law license? Shouldn't she be disbarred for that? And does she actually go to jail for that? I mean, you're lying under oath. That is, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? That's a big deal. And it also gives you some insight into who she is and, frankly, who these people are. I mean, a bunch of lowlifes that are desperately trying to take out a political rival. Because here's the reality. I don't know how much coffee or whatever else they were giving Joe Biden last night. I mean, like, I know we're joking about it, but gosh, that is like the most with it I've seen him in a long time. So good for him. You know, we're happy he didn't stumble and fall at the State of the Union. I mean, it was a real concern, was it not? But if they can't actually win with the right policies and the right candidate, do they have to resort to this? And then how is that okay? It's never okay. Remember that. Never, ever, ever okay. Policy matters. The candidate matters. I'm just looking at some of your comments here. It is great to see you on this Friday evening, and I see a lot of new faces, which just gets me really excited. And I see some people that have joined the team. Melissa, thank you for joining the team. You know, her boyfriend and that phone of his, what was that? Like some 3,500 texts and thousands of phone calls? And this was all going on before he allegedly got the job. I mean, how can that be? Right? I mean, like, you know, we're all adults here. How can that be? Clearly, she wasn't working very hard for Fulton County, that's for sure. I mean, there are not enough hours in the day to be making that many phone calls. And that was actually happening. That was all happening before he actually went to work for it. So was this a job interview? All right. Like, we can have too much fun with this, right? Too much fun. But it's just crazy. It's actually crazy. I'm looking again through all of your, a traffic court lawyer, Chad is making the point, would know that this was kind of out there. I hear you. I mean, really, really hear you. And we were just watching the scene with Ms. Merchant, and you guys were saying, hey, wait a second, don't deviate. Look, I mean, the guy was making a stupid point. I don't care if it's 10 cents. You know what? You don't take money from the taxpayers. Which brings us to another story, the 320,000 migrants that were transported into different cities throughout this country. I mean, this to me, I believe, should be illegal. The Center for Immigration Studies coming out with this. It's not like anybody was willing to tell us this was happening. And what's incredible to me is that Joe Biden swore that he wanted this to happen. In fact, if you go back, I played this in yesterday's show, so you can check it out there. And I actually played it in the day before show, so you can check it out there. If you want to go see Wednesday or Thursday was the State of the Union, but I played it ahead of the State of the Union because it was incredible. He actually went so far in those 2020 debates with other Democrats to say he welcomed a surge at the border. He wanted a surge at the border. And it wasn't right because, you know, we are a country that welcomes everybody, blah, blah, blah. Sure, okay, fine, but you got to do it the right way, right? And we actually ought to have an articulated approach, a decision where we're saying, okay, we want you. We need nurses right now. Let's go get some nurses. Okay, where do they have the most nurses? Let's have a visa program for nurses. Okay, we need janitors. Let's find, the most janitors. I mean, it should be a program that actually has some rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't need to all be PhDs, believe me. No, I mean, that's not what we're about, but we need to know who's coming here. We need to know why they're coming here. We need to know that they can take care of themselves, and we need to not be shipping them in the middle of the night on taxpayer dollars to the tune of 320,000 migrants going to all over the country. Can you believe that? What is this about? Elon Musk was tweeting recently, and he had a theory that it was really about the census. And that because you can have a certain number of congressional representatives from various districts, if you have enough people and they count migrants for the number of people in your district, that really this was about making sure that they were able to gerrymander things so that they get more representatives in Congress that are blue. I mean, it's pretty cynical thinking, but he's a smart guy. And I think he's onto something. Because why would they do this otherwise? I mean, there has to be some sort of rhyme or reason to it. It's not like it necessarily helps them. For goodness sakes, Eric Adams out there saying, we can't really be a sanctuary city in New York anymore. We can't do this because we can't afford it. And you got Governor Hochul saying, all right, now we're going to have people law enforcement riding on the subways in New York City because they're too dangerous. I mean, this is not right. It's like nobody's actually looking out for everyday Americans in all of this. Hey, Leslie, good to see you again. Leslie, I was just telling someone earlier today, I can always count on you. I think I was actually telling Rob, my colleague over at 76, that I was like, you know what? I have this one woman, she's just terrific. And Don, you're always here as well. Like Don was actually with us. He's probably sleeping right now because I think he's overseas, but he was with us at 5 a.m, his time, as we were doing the State of the Union. And he's the guy who's always like, hey, like, subscribe, share. So I'm going to do that for him today because I always forget to do that, but Don's always good at reminding you. And yes, I think he is sleeping and he deserves to get some sleep. Ian, 226, it's awesome, right? Thank you. Ian Barber calling out just the fabulous growth that we have seen here, which is so exciting. Scott, welcome. Robert, welcome. There's this meme. Let me see if I can play it for you guys. I'm looking at Robert's note, and he said, Jesus Christ and Trump are the only people that care about this country. So there's this meme that I just died laughing at. I have to take out the music because they have rules about this in terms of the music, but let me just play a little bit of it so that you can see it right here. Let me see if I can pull this up because it's really funny. It's actually an old, like 1989 or maybe 1990 something movie with Will Ferrell, and it's this scene, Night at the Roxbury. Did you guys ever see that? I actually haven't seen the movie, but I just saw the meme and thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I can bring it up for you here. So I want you to see this, and I will actually try and pull out the music here so that we don't get in any trouble for playing music we shouldn't have. Can we do it? Oh, this is some suspense, right?
Ubers on each of these trips. There was a hotel at the beginning.
Wrong one.
I didn't include that.
Well, that's a letdown. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in my shorts feed. So you guys go over there, you can see it. And it's just really funny because basically it's this great meme where you have Will Ferrell standing about ready to get married to this woman he doesn't want to marry. And his brother comes in, he holds up a boom box, right? Like sort of take off on the other 80s movie. And he holds up the boom box and he plays this song and they're looking at each other. And he's like, don't do it. And basically you see somebody watching this and it's like America and you've got Trump. So the Will Ferrell's like America and his brother is Trump. And there's all this pressure for them to be apart. But at the end of the day, America is following Trump. And I think that's what's happened. I mean, to bring it back full circle to what's going on right now at Fox, it's because you guys have the opportunity to get information yourselves. You you know what's what, right? Like, you know what's up because you're actually doing your own due diligence. And this is a shift unlike anything that we have ever seen. And so you look at these media companies and their stock prices. You look at ABC, for example, which is about to get sold. And by the way, should be, because I don't know how they're making any money on that show, The View. And I don't think they're going to be able to pay those big salaries anymore either over at ABC. Disney's like, okay, we got to cut the cord. They want to cut the cord even with ESPN. Now, sports programming, you would think, would be able to hold up, but they see the handwriting on the wall, and the business is no longer going to be about those big cable fees. Yet that's all Fox has, right? Unless they can really diversify, and maybe this is partly why Lachlan's there to kind of think through these new opportunities. And I know he was quite keen on digital, and he has some interest in that, but can he do it? Right? I mean, how do you do it? How do you reinvent yourself in this environment when you have so many various factors that you need to please? You know, this one over here and that one over there, and you can't get Chuck Schumer too mad, or Chuck Schumer is going to demand that you fire Tucker Carlson. He did, right? That Chuck made that demand after Tucker dared to deviate from the J6 narrative. And so you as a consumer of news, you're out there saying, well, what else is there? Like, I don't want to be lied to. Like the president's lying to me. The president's like, oh, there is no inflation. And the inflation that you do see, oh, that's just coming from corporations trying to make more money. They're just greedy. No, they're actually, gross margins are down. They're making less money just like everybody else, Joe Biden. You know what? Did you guys see this? I played this the other day. You look at wages adjusted for inflation, like we're way down. Like we're not where we were during 2020 or during any period during the Trump administration. When I look at those numbers, you actually saw the most growth for the middle class in America that we had seen in 50 years, nearly 50 years. And they have a problem with that. I mean, the Democrats have become the party, mark my words, of let them eat cake. We'll just give them a little bit, keep them down on the farm, give them a little bit just to keep them happy. But how dare they ask for more? And consequently, middle-class America is feeling that squeeze in more ways than one. I mean, this is why Oliver Anthony became such a big deal, right? Because he was speaking to that middle class, where you're working really hard and you're working 2 or 3 jobs and you're trying to save for yourself and maybe a retirement someday, if your kid's education, and you're lucky to be able to take a vacation each year and the cost of eggs keeps going up. I mean, this is what Americans are dealing with, and somehow they laugh at your problems like MSNBC does. They laugh and say, how dare you be concerned about things like immigration or inflation, because they have no appreciation for what the real world actually is. So that's what's happened to America, and it's a problem. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we got a big problem, and it's why I love that you're here. I encourage you to go and download the whole audio podcast on Apple Podcasts and to go over to 76 Research. I actually put it in the show notes. You can get a free guide to independent investing there. We are committed to trying to help you. I got to tell you, this has been a passion project for me because I know a lot about the markets. I mean, I've covered financial markets for 24 years now. Yikes. And before that, I actually worked in finance. So I know a fair amount, and I wanted to really be able to help people more. It's one thing to talk about politics and to, complain about everything. I mean, that's what we do a lot here, right? As media observers, we do complain. But what is the solution, right? And what is my solution for you? How can I help you? Hopefully this helps a little bit. The free guide to independent investing is pretty substantial. We have 5 rules that we live by that you can see there. So go over to 76research.com and register for this, because I'm going to put this up right here. Because Rob and I have been working really, really hard, and we care about what you're doing and what your future is. So again, it's all there for you. And then we also have the 76 report if you want to subscribe to that. We also have model portfolios. If you're really committed to investing, there's about 10 or 15 stocks in each of these model portfolios that we really feel strongly about, that have good stories for the future. So there's one that's the American Resilience portfolio. We have another that is inflation protected. We have a growth portfolio. It's all there for you to see and just peruse and get as much free stuff as you can as well over at 76research.com. I hope you have a terrific weekend. I may be back with you. Listen, I'm here. Come rain, come shine, morning, noon, and night. I'm committed. I know you're committed to do me the favor of liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, sharing this, because there is a lot of work to be done and we don't have that much time. So we got to get cracking. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a fabulous, fabulous evening, great weekend, and we'll talk very soon.